Om Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaraachaarya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. त्रैलोक्यनाथ हरिमीड्यमुदारसत्वं शक्तेस्तनूजतनयं परमेष्ठिकल्पं जीमूतमुक्तविमलाम्बरचारुवर्णं वासिष्ठमुग्रतपसं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यम्. So we were looking at, I think, around 157 verse. So Acharya had already discussed both from Shruti and also logically how there cannot be any real cause or effect, because any theory which is given, whether it is Satkaryavada, Asatkaryavada, all of them do not actually measure up, you can say. All of them can be shown as illogical. And then finally he summarizes the teaching, correct? To show that whatever the Siddhanta which we are presenting is also what is given in the Shruti. Here in 156 and 157, the Brihadaranyaka Shruti is quoted here. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad is being quoted. In the Brihadaranyaka, the analogy of the lump of salt is given, or even the salt solution also is given in one place, to show that this Chaitanyam is a homogeneous entity whose very nature is this consciousness. So it is consciousness everywhere, and it doesn't have any Swagata Beda also, correct? It is homogeneous, means there is no difference or anything within it. It is a partless whole. And for this Chaitanyam, Shuddha Chaitanyam, which is Nirgunam Brahma, there is no inside or outside or anything like that. Okay. And also there is nothing before or after. So by saying all these things, by saying there is nothing before means it doesn't have any cause. And by saying there is nothing after, the effect also is negated. There is no real effect. The effect is only Maya. It is only an appearance. It doesn't have any reality of its own. So you have to understand this Brahman, which is yourself, as homogeneous entity, Prajnana Ghanam, it is called there. Here Acharya uses the word Avabodha Ghanam. If you see here in 156, which means the same thing. Prajnana Ghanam or Avabodha Ghanam are same. Ghanam means dense. Okay. And here dense is used in the meaning of homogeneously dense. Okay. Means it doesn't differ in any way. That is its very nature or the essence. So this Avabodha Ghanam, you have to know like this. And how you have to know? So Avabodha Ghanam Paramatma Padam. That is the Paramatma Pada also. That is the whatever. That is the final destination. The Paramatma. Paramatma is translated as Supreme Self and all that. You can translate, nothing wrong. It is the Self which is presented as the Jagat Karanam and which is the final abode or resting place or goal, whichever way you want to say that. That is nothing but yourself. Tvam avehi, you know that. How? Tadasmi sadahamiti. Always I am that Paramatma only. I am this Avabodha Ghanam. I am not this body, mind, sense complex. So that is the teaching here. One has to know. So up to this, we saw already the 156 and 157 are referring to the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, and this Saindava Ghana, okay, it is called, here Lavana is used, both are same, both are for salt only, and this analogy is given there and Acharya is referring to that. Now further he continues now, okay, just to make clear what is your Swarupa. So that is the 158 now. Anuno na cha tad viparita gunaha na cha hrasva mato na cha dirghamapi pratisiddha samasta visheshanakam paramaksharam shraya bhoho. So bhoho is just addressing, hey sir or whatever like that. What anu na u means, you are indeed not. Anu means atom. Your parimana, you cannot be measured. This Atma cannot be measured as Anu or atom or atomic or very small and all that. Nacha tad viparitam or viparita gunaha means it is also not the opposite quality. Means what? Mahat. So this is what is said in the Upanishad also. When talking about this Atma, Atma is talked about as Anoraniyan Mahato Mahiyan. At the same time, looks contradictory, but what is being revealed is that Atma is not subjected to any measure. You cannot measure it. It's not subjected to any measurement. If you can measure the Atma, it will become limited, in fact. The Ananta Atma cannot be measured. It is beyond all ideas of measurement, or it is beyond space itself, because all measurement is only space within space, correct? So all measurement can only be within space, and space itself is in Atma, means you cannot have any measure for that. So that comes here. That is Anu na u nacha tad viparita gunaha. So you can take it as with reference to spatial measurements, that Atma cannot be subjected to that. Nacha hrasvam ato nacha dirgham. Neither it is short nor long. This can be taken with reference to time, correct? It is not, Atma is not there for only a short time, or it is not there for a long time also. Means what? It is not subjected to any time. It is beyond time. Time itself is in Atma. In fact, time itself we cannot define. Both space and time cannot be defined properly, because the thing is that how do we think about spatial measurements and all that in terms of points only, correct? Because many points make up a line, but each point itself geometrically also, the funny thing is defined as something which does not take up any space. A point is defined as something which doesn't take up any space, but still a group or a set of points become a line. That is weird, correct? Similarly, even the period of time, if you take, now you have to define, but now cannot be defined in terms of any unit of time. You can keep on reducing nanosecond, picosecond and all that, but now is just now, it is consciousness only. It will resolve into the awareness, and that now alone is the reality. Past and future and all that is all only some mental constructs, correct? And in fact, the period of time itself is made up of a series of now, which itself cannot be defined in terms of any measurement of time. That is the beauty. That means time itself is nothing but a superimposition on your consciousness. Space also is the same. So space-time do not exist of their own. Space-time also, they resolve into this consciousness. So the basic misunderstanding which everybody has is that one takes oneself as being existent in space-time. That is the biggest mistake. You think that you are an existing entity in space-time. That itself you have to give up. Because the reality is that space-time is in you. Space-time depends on you for its very existence. You are not an entity in space. Only if you are an entity in space, you can have some measure, correct? Like if you take the Atma as body, then you are 6 feet, 5.5 feet, whatever it is. So you have a measure, parimana. And similarly, if you take yourself as subjected to time, then you can say, okay, I live for a short duration or a long duration and all that. But if you are not even subjected to space-time, how can you say that you exist in space-time? Space-time actually exists in you. That is also not beyond our experience. Because in deep sleep, there is no space or time or anything, but I am there. And I can create a totally new space-time in the dream world. So from all these things, it's very easy to understand that I am not an entity existing in space-time, but in reality, space-time is in me. That is the understanding. In fact, not only space-time, I transcend all the objects also. I am not any one particular object. In fact, I can never be objectified. That is the truth of this Atma. I am not an object. I can never be objectified. All the objects are objects of my cognition, whether known, unknown. Even unknown can become known. So you have to say known and potentially knowable, whatever it is there, all of them are objects of my consciousness, but I am always the eternal consciousness, which is to which everything becomes evident. This is not an object, therefore it cannot have any quality also. Qualities, etc., are only for objects. But I am the consciousness to whom everything which becomes evident. And for that, what? Pratishiddha samasta visheshanakam means for this Atma, samasta visheshanakam means what? All the qualities, whatever, all the gunas. And kriya and etc. also you have to include here. There are no qualities, there are no action or activities in this Atma. All of them are negated. Pratishiddha. Who negates means Shruti negates. Shruti also negates this. Shruti reveals yourself as Nishkriyam, Nirgunam Brahma. And because of that only it is Param. It is the greatest, it is the ultimate reality. Aksharam means that which never, Naksharati iti Aksharam. That which never declines, changes, decays. It can never change because it is Satyam. Satyam means once you have ascertained it, that this is it, then it can never change its nature. That alone is Satyam. That is the definition, correct? That which can never be negated is Satyam. And everything else which can be negated or which are only like temporarily there, they are all mithya. They don't really have an independent existence. All of them, in fact, depend on this Satya Vastu, which is yourself, Param Aksharam. And how do you know this Nirgunam Param Aksharam Brahma? Atmataya, in the form of your own self. Okay, Atmataya Ashraya means what? You take refuge as yourself in this knowledge. Okay, you understand yourself as the Paramatma. There is no difference between Pratyagatma and Paramatma. Pratyagatma means inner self, we say. Paramatma means we understand it as some supreme self, ultimate self, which is the cause of this entire world. Both are no different. They are identical. That identity one has to understand, and that itself, in that only, that is moksha. So take ashraya bhoho means what? You take refuge in that means you resolve all your issues into that. Once you understand yourself like that, there cannot be any more shoka or moha or anything. Atmavit tarati shokam, Upanishad says. Another Upanishad says, Tatrako moha kashokaha ekatvam anupashyataha. Means once you know I alone am there, there are no second thing, correct? There is no second thing to cause you fear, and there is no second thing to cause you or to make you feel limited. So this Atma is also Ananda Swarupa. In fact, it is the source of all happiness also. So this is the Atma. In that manner, once you know this Atma, then all your problems are solved. That's what everybody wants to be, always happy, correct? Everybody wants to be, that is the only Purushartha, really speaking. If you go to anybody and ask, do you want to be happy? Means what they will say, yes, I want to be happy. That's what I want. Now you can also ask, when do you want to be happy? In the morning or evening or in the afternoon? Means they say, no, I want to be happy all the time. I want to be happy in the morning. I want to be happy in the noon, forenoon, afternoon, at night. All I want to be happy always. Then where do you want to be happy? Do you want to be happy at your home? You want to be happy at your office? Means wherever I am, I want to be happy. Means I want to be unconditionally happy. I don't want any spatial or time-wise conditions to be happy. If that is what you want, in fact, you are already that. Because you are the source of all happiness. So that's where all your, whatever you are searching for, it has to end with this understanding that I am not this body, mind, sense complex. Because all problems are really the individual's problem. But individuality itself is not intrinsic to me. Individuality comes and goes. The waking individuality comes and goes. The dream individuality comes and goes. There is no individuality in deep sleep. So taking yourself as an individual is the greatest delusion. Everything starts from there. As soon as you wake up, open your eyes and think I am an individual in this jagat, in this world, that's enough. Because everything else in this world is so big. You are so puny, immaterial, limited being. Means there is problem only then. Problem after problem. Now that understanding itself is wrong. Now that is what is being corrected here by the Shruti. The vision of the Shruti is that you are not a puny jiva in this jagat, but you are Jagat Karanam Brahma in reality, because your nature and that Brahman's nature are not any different. Both are identical, which is Satchidananda. That is what is your Swarupa. So that is the teaching here. In fact, Acharya continues that further. Let us see that. Asu buddhi sharira gunan shadiman aviveki janair dharmataya प्रतिपन्नतमान् प्रविहाय शनैर् दृशिमात्रमवेहि सदाहमिति. So here, asu buddhi sharira gunan. Asu here is asu and all means breath, means prana. And buddhi here refers to buddhi or manas you can take, and sharira. So basically Acharya is talking about sharira, prana and manas. These three, and they have gunas, they have qualities, correct? And what are those qualities? In fact, they are not very desirable qualities. In the Shastra, 6 such qualities are talked about. Shad Iman, Shad Gunan are there. 6 qualities. These 6 qualities of these three vastus. What are those? If you take pranas, gunas, then ashana, pipasa. So you have hunger and thirst. These are all actually gunas of the prana, but you say I am hungry, I am thirsty. Really the prana. Because even hunger and thirst are known to you. If something is known to you as an object, it is not you. Understand that. That is a very simple logic we use all the time. Whatever I know is not I. Neither it is my dharma, in fact. Neither it is my quality. So I know I have hunger, means hunger is not yours. Hunger is the quality of prana. I know thirst, means thirst is also quality of the prana. But there is confusion, correct? In fact, that's what here aviveki janaihi, by the people who do not have discrimination between atma and anatma, it is taken, what is taken? It is taken as Drishi Dharmataya. This dharma of the prana, which is Ashana and Pipasa, which is hunger and thirst, is taken as one's own quality. Drishi here is the seer, the consciousness. The seers, whatever is the quality of the seen, is taken as the quality of the seer. Now that is done by whom? Aviveki Janehi, by those who do not have discrimination between Atma and Anatma. In fact, logically speaking, it is impossible. How this happens, nobody can explain. Bhashyakara says the same thing in the beginning of the Brahma Sutra Bhashya also. Yushmad Asmat Pratyaya Gocharayoho, he says, whatever is known as this and whatever is known as I, these two are totally opposite to each other. One is consciousness, another is jada. One is like light, another is darkness. But still, there is confusion with reference to them. One's quality is superimposed on the other, and then there is all the problem starts from there. And how did it start means it is naisargikaha. It is not created or anything, it is there. That's all. You have to deal with that. Whatever is there, you deal with that. There is no point in inquiring when did it start and all that. It is beginningless. Okay, this ajnanam is always beginningless. Any ajnanam is always beginningless. Correct? It's easy. Suppose I ask you, do you know Chinese? Means if you say I don't know. Now if I ask you when did it start? Means it never started. Correct? It is always there. It can end, but ajnanam is beginningless. But once you gain knowledge, it ends. So like that here, whatever is the dharma of the known or the seen is taken as the dharma of the seer by those who do not have discriminative knowledge. Okay, pratipannataman. So they all understand it in that manner. Aviveki janaihi. But you are a Viveki, you are a student of Vedanta. No, correct? You have been taught this text. We are in fact almost going to finish it now. Only few more verses are there. So you have been taught the entire Vedanta Shastra. So what should you do? Pravihaya Shanaihi. Means Shanaihi here means in the Krama. So you have now studied this Shastra in the proper manner, and so in whatever order, in an orderly manner you have studied this. Therefore give up this idea that you have all these dharmas, and in fact two dharmas only I said, then some more. What are the buddhi dharma here? Shoka and moha, suffering, sorrow, all these things. Shoka, moha is delusion. Now shoka again, Vedantic logic, my Guruji used to always say, is different, correct? In fact, you cannot go and give this Vedantic logic to one who is sitting in sorrow, but one who is attending the class in a tranquil, with a tranquil mind. For that person, we can say this. What? That suffering also is only known, correct? I know I am suffering, let us say. Normal logic is then you are the sufferer, correct? I know I am suffering. I know my suffering, therefore I am the sufferer. Means Vedanta comes and uses the same thing. Vedantic logic is completely opposite. It says, I know suffering, therefore I am not the sufferer. Suffering belongs to only the mind. This is just an emotional state. It has got nothing to do with you really. Atma is simply shining. Even if the mind has a certain, whatever emotional state it is, it's just manifest there. It has got nothing to do with that. So Shoka and Moha, like Ashana and Pipasa, correct? Like hunger and thirst are the dharmas or qualities of the prana, suffering and delusion, all these things are also qualities of mind only, buddhi. It has got nothing to do with me. Those things are also known to me only. Whatever is known to you, it is not you. Whatever I know is not I. You have to be firm in that. Just hold on to that always. That is the only sadhana you have to do, really speaking. And then what? Then there are Sharira gunas are also there. Jara, Maranam. So old age, I am old, means you are not old. Body is old, maybe. The body can become old. Atma is always the same. Okay, whether you are Kaumaram, Yavvanam, Jara, all these things is only for the body. Correct? Even in the Gita it is said. In fact, similarly, you can take another Deha also. Bhagavan says, Tata Dehantara Praptihi. Okay, Dehantara Prapti also can happen, because if you take yourself as the body, then there is Dehantara Prapti is there. You can take another body. You will gain another body. But then you are not the body, because body is known. How can this known object be I? And whatever qualities of this body, whether it is old age, death, etc., that also cannot be there for me. So none of these 6 gunas, Shadiman, Gunan, belong to me. They all belong to prana, mind and the body. And I am free from all these things. I am free from hunger, thirst. I am free from suffering and delusion. I am free from old age and death. What else do you want? These are all the problems, correct? These are the problems which people have about themselves. None of that actually is your quality. It doesn't belong to you really. Whatever doesn't belong to you, you are taking that upon yourself, then suffering. So give it up. Pravihaya. And then what? Drishi matram avehi. You know yourself only as the seer. In fact, you are the seer of the sight itself, correct? That's how Brihadaranyaka and even Kenopanishad says, correct? Shrotrasya shrotram manaso mano yat vacho havacham sau pranasya pranaha chakshushas chakshuhu ati muchya dhiraha pretya pretyasmal lokat amrita bhavanti. So chakshushas chakshuhu, you are the or drishtehe drashtaram. The drashtaram means the seer of what means drishtehe of sight. You are the seer of the sight itself, because you know whether your eyes see or not also. That is you. In your presence alone, all indriyas, mind, everything is active. They can do their functions. Without you, nothing can function really. I am that consciousness who knows whether the eyes are seeing or not, ears are hearing or not, mind is active or not, nose is smelling or not. Everything is known to you only. So you are not, again, you cannot have any qualities based on these indriyas also. Otherwise, what if you can't see, you say, I am blind. Are, you know whether your eyes are seeing or not. How can you be blind then? Eyes are blind, maybe. Eyes can malfunction also. Some people are color blind also. So that is fine. But I am not blind. I know whether my eyes are seeing or not. That's all you can say. Okay. So all this Drishi Dharma also is superimposed on the Jada. That is the other way around. Because you put the eye there and think it is the one which is conscious. Correct? You think body is conscious. Mind is conscious. Indriyas are aware, are conscious and all that. That is like saying the iron ball is burning. Iron ball does not burn. The Agni in the iron ball, because it is a heated iron ball, Agni itself is not intrinsic to the iron ball. If you leave it as it is, it will cool down. Correct? So like that, the body is where the Chaitanya is manifesting, and there, but Chaitanya, the body is taken to be consciousness and all that. That confusion continues even today, correct? Even scientists are all confused. So, but you have to have Viveka Buddhi. You are not an aviveki. Therefore, what? Drishi matram avehi. You know yourself as only this conscious entity. You are the limitless conscious being, and you are that always. In fact, you are not subjected to space time, means you are always that only. Sada ahamiti. Drishi matram avehi. Drishi matram sada aham. You are always this consciousness alone that you know. Thus, you know yourself, means you have this knowledge. Then now, Acharya goes to the next topic, which is Jivan Muktihi. Jivan Muktihi. Only the Advaitin talks about Jivan Mukti. For all others, it's all only tourism promotion. They all say you have no moksha here. You have to give up the body and go somewhere, Vaikuntha, Kailasha, Goloka Brindavan, wherever it is. And even there, once you go, you don't know whether you like it or not. But anyway, but we say that Jnana Phalam, you have to enjoy here itself. Once Jnanam is there, of course, there can be some pratibandhas, there can be hindrance, because any knowledge has to be repeated enough so that it becomes available to you all the time. Then only it is sahaja. So till then, the nididhyasana has to continue, the recollection of your knowledge. But once you have this sahaja, this knowledge always with you, means then you never take this body mind sense complex is never you, correct? You don't take yourself as the body mind sense complex at all. And an analogy is given. Again, Acharya is quoting the Brihadaranyaka Shruti here, the 4th chapter, 4th Brahmana, where Yajnavalkya is teaching Janaka. There Janaka is talking about this Jivan Mukta. It is called Jivan Mukti Shruti only. The Jivan Mukta is talked about here. And what is the analogy given in that Upanishad also? The Upanishad talks about a snake. Correct? So how a snake is periodically, it will shed its skin, correct? And in fact, it may even look like a snake. Once it has shed the skin, it looks, but it is cast away. And once it sheds its slough, it is called in English, I think, or you can simply say its skin. And then it is just a shell only, right? It is not really anything. In fact, snake itself does not look upon that as its own self. Previously, when it was sticking to its body, that skin was self for even the snake. But once it has shed it, it is no more Atma. Like that only for the Jivan Mukta. Initially, before, as an Aviveki Purusha, the Jivan Mukta also was an Aviveki to start with. The body mind sense complex was looked upon as Atma by the Aviveki Purusha, but the same Aviveki Purusha becomes a Mumukshu, Jijnasu, and then he undergoes this Shravana Manana Nididhyasanam in an orderly fashion. Then what discovers what? I was never this body mind sense complex. Means you are dead to your body mind sense complex, literally. In fact, the Keno Upanishad says the same thing. Atimuchya pretya asmal lokat pretya, it says. Pretya means basically dying or giving up. Dying to this idea that I am this body mind sense complex. Then what? Amrita bhavanti. Then you are Amrita. You are immortal. You are not limited by anything, any space or any time. You are immortal. That's the truth. Once you are free from the idea that I am an embodied conscious being, then you are always whatever you were already. So here that analogy is given in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad also. It is same thing is given here by the Acharya. So let us see here. Ahi nirvayani mahiratmataya jagruhe parimokshana pura parimuchyatu tamuragasva bile na punah samavekshata atmataya. So ahi nirl, you have to give, it's a very complicated conjunct consonant here. Ahi nirvaya neem. So Ahinirvayani means the snake's skin only is talked about here. The Bhujanga Nirmoka, you can say otherwise. Nirmoka also is another name for snake skin. So Ahi means snake. In fact, Ahihi Atmataya Jagrihe. So initially what the snake understood it as Atma only, because its own body it looks upon. Snake doesn't have any Viveka, but so the snake's skin is part of its body, means it looks upon that as Atma to start with. So that's what, that is like the Aviveki Purusha, correct? Then what? Parimokshanastastu Pura. Then what? Parimuchyatu tam uragaha swabile na punaha samavekshata atmataya. So parimokshataha means what? It has now, parimokshataha means it has now shed that skin. It has given up that skin. It is free from that skin. So once it has, that is called molting also, correct? In English, I think the word molting is used. So once you give up that skin, what? Parimuchya to tam uragaha swabile. Swabile means in its own hole, because snakes are living in some, in fact, snakes do not, in Tamil Nadu and all we say Pambu Puttu, means snake's den, let us say. But snake do not make that, really speaking. It is all made by, I think, ants only. Ants and termites only build all that with mud. But snakes simply go and live there. They burrow themselves in whatever is built by the ants. But its own hole is there. Swabile tam uragaha parimuchya. Having given up its skin in its own hole, what? Punaha again. Na samavekshata, it doesn't look upon that skin as itself anymore, because it is out of that skin, correct? So in fact, even snake doesn't have any confusion with reference to the whatever skin it has shed. It doesn't take that as itself. Similarly, what? You also, the Viveki Purushaha, Jnani, do not look upon this body mind sense complex as yourself. It is all Anatma only. So that comes in the next verse. What? Avivekata atmataya viditam kushariramitam bhavatapyahivat ahivatyajadeham tvamapi pratipadya chidatmakataya chidatmakam atmataya. So same thing. The analogy is now used to show how this body mind sense complex is not you. So whatever avivekataha atmataya viditam, whatever was known as self, when you did not have the discriminative knowledge, correct, between what is atma and anatma, what is self, what is not self, you did not have a discriminative knowledge about that. In fact, nobody even analyzes that. That is all avichara siddha, we say, correct? We take ourselves for granted. Whatever identity is foisted on you by the society and your parents and all that, you take that. You don't even analyze that. Most people die also. They never do any vichara on that. Atma vichara is never done. It's not very easy. Very few people do that. So whatever you took as yourself due to non-discrimination, what is that? Kushariram idam, this sharira. But Acharya always uses kusharira, not just sharira. Kutsita sharira means what? This lowly body, mind, sense complex. Because it is limited. And you take upon the limitations of the body as you on yourself, and then you are suffering. So he always mentions it as kushariram. Kushariram idam bhavata api ahivat, like even the snake. You have taken this body, mind, sense complex as yourself due to non-discrimination. But again, what? Like snake only what? Ahivat tyaja. Like even the snake which has cast away its skin does not look upon that as itself. Similarly, deham imam tvamapi pratipadya. Okay. So and how do you look upon yourself? You give up this idea that I am this body. Like even the snake, you give up this idea, and then what? How do you give up? By knowing yourself. Chidatmakam atmataya pratipadya. By knowing yourself as this conscious being, this limitless conscious being, that is your nature, that is your reality. Everything else becomes evident to this conscious being. That alone is you. That is your very nature, because that alone never changes. That is the invariable in each and every cognition. In fact, it is the cognizer, it is the cognized, and also the means of knowledge, the instrument of cognition. All of them. The Triputi is not separate from you. You are that. That is how you have to understand. The Keno Upanishad says very clearly, Pratibodha Viditam Matam. So how do you know yourself? You know yourself in each and every cognition as what? As the object, as the subject, as the means of knowledge. Everything is yourself only. Because none of that is separate from you, the consciousness. Everything gets its existence only because you are conscious of it. So consciousness is the invariable in each and every cognition, and that is you. That's what you have to appreciate. So appreciating that, understanding that, what you give up the idea that I am this body mind sense complex, like even the snake, that is the analogy here. Then you are a Jivan Mukta. Okay, you are a Jivan Mukta. In fact, another beautiful analogy Acharya is giving here. Okay, let us see that. Rajani divasau na raver bhavataha prabhaya satatam yata yesha yutaha अविवेक विवेक गुणावपिते भवतो न रवेरिव नित्य दृशेः. So another issue is what? I am knowledgeable, I am ignorant, I am idiot, I am stupid. Correct? In fact, I am a knower itself is actually not correct. You are a knower only with reference to a known. Both knower and known are equally mithya. Understand that. The subject-object duality itself is not real. That is, and in fact, they are mutually dependent. Anything which is mutually dependent is called madhu in the Brihadaranyaka. And then the Upanishad teaches that anything mutually dependent has to depend on something independent for their very existence, and that is you really. In fact, that is Brahman. That is called Madhu Vidya. So, all these mutually dependent things, in that one of that is you take, and then you are you have problems, correct? Like even the example what he gives here, you take yourself as knowledgeable or ignorant and all that, or a knower or not a knower, etc. That is like saying what? The sun does not have any day or night, correct? Rajani divasau na raver bhavataha. The day or night and all is only from the standpoint of earth. Sun itself does not have any day or night, correct? It is always bright. It is the same bright entity. So Rajani divasau na raver bhavataha, he says. Rajani means night, Divas is day. These two things are not there for sun. Why? Because it is always bright. Prabhaya satatam yata yesha yutaha. It is always, it is in union with this brightness only, correct? It is with brightness always. It is a bright entity, luminous entity. It cannot have any day or night. Similarly, what? Aviveka viveka gunavapi. Thinking that I am a aviveki, knower, ignorant and all that. It is all delusion. In fact, knower or knowledge and ignorance, etc., are only for the mind again. Understand that. It is not Atma Guna. These gunas, with reference to which you think that I am aviveki or viveki, etc., they are also only the qualities of mind, or it's all states of mind alone. Atma has got nothing to do with that. You are neither ignorant nor knowledgeable, because you are always the conscious entity to whom both become evident, correct? I know also is known to you. I do not know also is known to you. That knowing is you. That consciousness to whom even knowledge and ignorance becomes evident, that is you, correct? Like even, let us say, the clouds are blocking the sun, correct? But even the clouds are themselves, the clouds which are blocking the sun themselves are known only because of sunlight, correct? Like that, ignorance is there in the mind really, and it cannot really block or cover the self. The self alone is again shining on this state of mind called ignorance, or self alone is shining on the state of mind called knowledge also. Because the vritti jnanam takes place in the mind. And in that vritti jnanam, what happens? Two things take place at the same time. One is, this is part, I know this part. Both are happening at the same time. In any cognition, you know something, this object I know, like that it becomes, correct? This is this object, and I know this object. Both are there. Means with reference to that, you are a knower. That knower also is only a status due to the mind only, because in mind only that vritti or that modification of the mind only leads to this conclusion that I know this, and it is there, it is a guna of the mind alone. Atma simply is always this consciousness. If nothing is there to be really revealed, correct? Like mind resolves in deep sleep, it is still the same thing. Atma is still the alupta drika, it is called. That's why it never goes to sleep. Atma never goes to sleep. Atma is always as it is. That's why it is avinashi also. Its nature never changes. It is the invariable in each and every cognition. And again, this idea that I am a jnani, ajnani, in fact, this knowledge alone, it also frees you from being a knower also. You know more. Once you have this knowledge, means it takes away your status of being a knower. Knower also is only with reference to the body mind sense complex. By itself, this Atma is what? Like Ravi. Okay. You do not have any aviveka or viveka or anymore, and you are neither a subject nor an object. You are simply this conscious entity who is self-luminous, self-revealing, self-existent consciousness, that the Acharya calls it as Nitya Drishe. You are this eternal sight or seer, you can say, this conscious being who is already Nitya Mukta Buddha Swarupaha, correct? Now that's what he will say in the next verse, which we will see in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.